Today we're breaking down the massive beef that's going on right now between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I'm going to give a full breakdown of the timeline from start to finish, the clips, the tweets, and Elon going absolutely nuclear and fully burning this bridge. This is Boardroom Wire. Let's jump right into it.
You know, I'm like a proponent of smaller government, not bigger government. But it's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's like I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. I don't want to, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration is doing. So, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, doesn't decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing. I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
All right, so this clip is from the 27th in an interview with CBS, and basically Trump expresses his dissatisfaction with the new bill as he sees it undermining what Doge is doing and trying to cut government expenditures. And really, we should refer to this as the big beautiful bill, as you'll see in some of the later tweets. That's exclusively how Trump and Elon talk about it. And literally one day later is when he announced his resignation, or his scheduled time as a special government employee would end. So this clearly was related. There was definitely probably rifts before, but I'm going to jump into another clip here where Trump basically sees Elon off with a special ceremony in the Oval Office.
We have here
Thank you.
a very special that I give to very special people. I have given it to some, but it goes to very special people, and I thought I'd give it to Elon as a presentation from our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. But the Doge team will only grow stronger over time. The Doge influence will only grow stronger. I'd liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. I look forward to continuing to be a friend and advisor to the president, continuing to support the Doge team, and we are relentlessly pursuing $8 trillion in waste and fraud reductions, which will benefit the American taxpayer. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
All right.
Great job.
All right, so this kumbaya kind of see Elon off meeting happened on the 30th, right? So as of now, we have Elon speaking out on the 27th, him announcing his end of his special government employment on the 28th, and now he's been awarded this special honor in the Oval Office on the 30th. So this all happened in the course of 3 days. So from here is where things start to go south between Elon and Trump. So on the 3rd, Elon publicly spoke out against the big beautiful bill again, essentially calling it a pork-filled just abomination of a bill that was going to do nothing to contribute to this kind of fiscal responsibility that Trump had purported to want. So this, again, was really the core disagreement and all the efforts that have been put forth with Doge. And Elon also started to see support from other people in Senate, Congress, and just different parts of the government like Rand Paul. So you can see here what really happened on June 3rd is Elon went into a kind of full outward campaign where he was tweeting, retweeting with his supporters, and ultimately calling for a new bill to be drafted, and for this current big beautiful bill to essentially be killed on the floor. So at this point on June 3rd, things are still relatively cordial. Elon is tweeting a lot and he's speaking out openly against the bill, but you're not seeing any sort of really radical rhetoric from either side, frankly. And Trump, believe it or not, is the one who's more restrained in this particular exchange. However, Trump did actually reach out on Truth Social on June 4th with just a kind of cryptid message or image that showed Elon's tweet from the 28th, where he resigned as the special government employee and everything appeared to be cordial. However, at this time, Elon was full on campaigning against the big, beautiful bill. So he was soliciting people on X, retweeting tons of different accounts all around, again, crushing this bill, making sure that things didn't move forward, and focusing on trying to get something else or something new redrafted. Now we're going to see here a few clips from a conversation that Trump had actually while the German chancellor was visiting. So I feel bad for that guy because he got absolutely steamrolled by this news. But this interview of Trump is what absolutely just turned up the temperature and caused this thing to go nuclear. So let's watch some of those clips and we'll keep going.
Well, look, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. And, Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate, and, which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. That's been from the beginning. But I know that it disturbed him. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Yeah, so that was a pretty prophetic point by Trump, because yes, he is going to start saying bad things about him. So this conversation really set off a firestorm from Elon on X of responses, and just, again, this goes to a level that I don't know if these guys can really ever reconcile after some of the things that are exchanged. So the first point that Elon takes issue with is the reference to the EV subsidies. And essentially, he says, look, there is no need for me to keep those subsidies. Just cut out all the other pork and crap, and also the, subsidies that you have that support oil and gas companies. So he absolutely took that one personally, and again, keeps digging on just the overall size of this bill. And the next piece that he takes issue with from Trump is the reference to him knowing the bill inside out. So he actually says, look, I never even looked at this, and you basically just passed this in the dead of night, and there was no time for anyone to even do a thoughtful evaluation. So Elon is just responding directly, point by point, and again, you can see that he's taking these things personally, and this is really getting under his skin. So this next point's where you can really see he's taking things personally, when he replies to this X account and basically says, look, Trump, you wouldn't have got elected without me. And you are looking pretty ungrateful right now for how you're behaving. And this is, again, where I think you can see there's a lot more underneath the surface with these two. There's just massive egos here. And clearly there's been a rift brewing, and this is personal. This is beyond even just the bill, to be honest, in my opinion. And keep in mind, too, by this point, Elon is just firing off literally dozens of tweets per minute. So, yeah, I'm just not even scratching the surface of everything that this guy was throwing out there. He was, just dumping on the bill, talking about how, he's going to be in business for 40 years. Trump has 3.5. So he is kind of just crashing out in public at this point and just firing off tweets like none other. So like I mentioned earlier, Trump is almost the more restrained one in this case, but he does start to hit back and basically says, look, Elon was wearing thin, we asked him to leave. And then he even starts to threaten the government contracts that Elon has with SpaceX and his multiple companies. So again, Trump is actually not responding that much, especially not as much as you would expect him to. But he does throw in a couple of jabs here and really threatens him, right, with the government contract stuff. Now, keep in mind, by this point, this is happening nearly real time. So Elon directly responds to the idea that he was fired like 10 minutes later and basically disputes that, says it's an obvious lie. And by this point, this is where things start to get really ugly. So everything we've seen to this point is somewhat tame, but then Elon just goes absolutely nuclear and drops this tweet and basically says, time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the reason why they've not been made public. So he basically just, I mean, this is a insane statement, right? Like, you can't come back from that. I don't think you could be friends or really associate with someone who accuses you of something like this. I mean, maybe in Trump and Elon's case, it's such a potentially mutually beneficial relationship that you can overlook this, but he's basically outright saying like, hey dude, Donald Trump is on the list. So at this point, again, this is just, the bridge is on fire. Trump has one more response on Truth Social, but he actually kind of steps back at this point. So you can tell, again, things have just deteriorated poorly. Elon says he's going to pause the work on the Dragon spacecraft that they have in light of Trump's government contract conversation. So again, things really deteriorated very fast, and that's pretty much the last we've heard from Trump, or at least directly. There is some indirect indication, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So Elon Musk really turns up the temperature again when he retweets an account saying that Trump should be impeached and JD Vance should replace him, and Elon essentially replies, yes, like, I agree with this. And I think that sort of inadvertently pulls JD Vance and the kind of Peter Thiel connection into the conversation. So for context, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk go way back to the PayPal days, and Peter Thiel was actually the main backer for JD Vance throughout his career, and they worked together earlier as well. So a lot of people kind of view this as the technocrats, Thiel, Elon Musk, etc., versus the America First group with Trump, and JD Vance kind of sits squarely in the middle there. So to this point, Vance is pretty quiet, but a lot of people are wondering, is he going to side with Musk? Is he going to side with Trump? And you'll actually see here, he has a pretty funny tweet that Elon retweets of him with Theo Vance saying, hey, slow news day. I don't know what we're going to talk about. But ultimately, JD did tweet out in support of President Trump and saying that he stands beside him. So he kind of makes his position clear there, but I think he's in sort of, murky waters again with kind of straddling that line. So, again, Elon was just on an absolute tweet storm, but he did reply to a tweet by Bill Ackman saying, hey, Donald Trump and Elon Musk need to make peace for the benefit of the country. We're stronger together. And Elon replied and said, this is true. So a lot of people were basically saying, oh, maybe they're making up. Maybe this is fake. Maybe this is all just like a ploy to distract from something or other. I don't think that's the case at all. I think this is two massive egos. I do think it's possible they make up because there's things that are mutually beneficial, but I think that's kind of a long shot. Once you pull in the Epstein Island card, that makes things much harder to recover from. So at this point, Elon's rhetoric has significantly cooled down, but the damage is kind of done. So Tesla's stock had its largest daily drop in history, I believe, on the 5th of 14%. So the stock absolutely tanked. It did recover Friday the 6th, but the damage was kind of done. So the market definitely did not like this instability, but long term, again, this is probably just a drop in the bucket. And as far as Trump goes, again, he was kind of the restrained one in this exchange, which is ultra rare, but he did connect with a correspondent from ABC who, basically he told them, hey, Elon lost his mind and I'm not interested in connecting with him. So allegedly Elon Musk has reached out and tried to connect with Trump, but I don't think that conversation is going to happen this week, or I would be surprised at least. With that, that's the full timeline and breakdown of the Elon Musk and Donald Trump beef. So this isn't the type of content I typically like to cover, but I felt like this was just so big and kind of important that I had to. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it, and I would really appreciate it if you just subscribed and clicked like, but at least subscribe, because I'm trying to get my subscriber count up. So again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the watch. I'm Boardroom Wire. I do strategic breakdowns on business, technology, and a little bit of politics and current events now. Thanks for the time. See you on the next one.